able to make it today but want to learn more, we also record this class. And so I have one friend on Zoom as well. So my friend on Zoom, if you have any questions, feel free to use the raise hand feature and we can unmute you and everyone will be able to hear you. And I'll also be monitoring the chat. So without further ado, this class series is made possible by the Columbia County Small Business Resource Center. I forgot to introduce myself. I think most of you guys know me, but my name's Sierra Trask, the Small Business Specialist of the Columbia Economic Team. And really what the SBRC does is we do free one-on-one confidential business advising. And that guy right there, he's right there. And Jason's the director of the center. He does amazing work advising our clients. And I'll let Jason share a little bit more about that experience.
I just realized I have some weird neck vein thing going on in that thing. Photoshop.
You look really strong.
I don't know. I was only working neck that week or something. I think I know everyone in here, but my name's Jason and I'm the director of the Columbia County Small Business Resource Center. As Sierra said, we offer free one-on-one confidential business advising. We are able to offer classes like this in partnership with others, which you'll hear from soon. And we really pride ourselves in being able to connect you with the right resources. So feel free to reach out if you're not already engaged, and just take it easy on me a little bit. One-man show right now, but yeah, here to help you work through any and all of it. So thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah. Other things we do is the free ticketed classes. This is part of our free monthly series, the Munch-N-Learn series. So we'll learn soon, and you already got the Munch part figured out. And then we also do resource connections. So if you're ever looking for like a bookkeeper or an accountant or CPA or really any resource, we know a lot of them or know who to ask. So we're also a great resource like that too. The Small Business Resource Center is part of the Columbia Economic Team, which is the county's economic development organization. And under the CET umbrella, we have the Small Business Resource Center, does a lot of educational pieces. Keep it local. I encourage you, if you're not using your Wonderland card yet, to go grab those. There's 106 participating businesses right now to go shop local at for a chance to win $3,000. And then we have a Grow Greater program. If you consider yourself an entrepreneur, constantly scaling, there's some really great resources there for you. And then we're also the tourism destination management organization of the county promoting tourism. So that's a bit about us. Got your photos. And then I'm going to allow Megan to introduce Wanda Credit Union and our partnership together.
Hello. It's been a minute since I've been in one of these Munch-N-Learn, so it's really nice to be back. I can't believe it's already November. So my name is Megan Greenfield Fawcett. I work for WANA Credit Union as the AVP of Community Engagement. WANA Credit Union has sponsored the Munch-N-Learns. I think it's actually 2.5 years now, I believe. There's like a half year of this getting started. You know, the reason why WANA decided to sponsor these is because we really want to give back to the business community. I like to attend these meetings as like a referral source to the subject matter experts within the credit union, so I can understand, you know, where the challenges are, where you guys are doing well as small businesses, so we can create products and services that really best fit your needs. So I am here as a partner to you and connect you to folks within the credit union that can assist you. So if you want to talk a little bit further after the meeting or at another point, I have business cards that are here. And, you know, we are federally chartered, but we are truly a community credit union. So we have branches that start all the way up the Columbia to Warrenton and Astoria and all the way through Scappoose. And we opened up our latest branch in Forest Grove a few years ago as well too, to serve the I-10 community there. So really pleasure to be here today and excited to hear more about taxes. I know it can be a stressful topic, but it's really, really great that SBDC has a subject matter expert here to help you. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. And also, WANA makes all the food possible. So give a shout out to them. Thank you for feeding us.
Got it.
Before we jump over to Brenda really quick, I would love for us to go around the room and just do quick introductions and introduce your business. Also, it'll be helpful for Brenda to know what type of business structure you are, sole proprietorship or corporation, all that, so that she knows what to speak to. So I'll just throw up this slide in case you don't know which one it is, or you do, hopefully do. And then something you're hoping to get out of today's class. So we start right here.
Bill Holstein, I do IT services consulting for Columbia County area. And I am a LLC sole friend.
I'm Jennifer Patterson and I have just a small bookkeeping business as well. I'm an LLC, but just starting out, I have another job, so this is kind of like a part-time thing today.
Andy Mullen, I own Three Crescents LLC, single member LLC, we're a local mechanic servicer in Columbia County.
Jack Hamilton, I own Hamilton Commercial Floors, which is a LLC, and my wife and I own the Decoy Restaurant, which is also an LLC.
Decoy?
Yeah.
Simona Hudova, Colors of the Earth. Sorry, Jason Leotti.
You skipped me, I was
I
gonna
know.
plug my business. My name's Jason Moon, I'm owner of Twilight Vintage and LLC, so.
Okay, Simona Hudova, Colors of the Earth. I'm certified hypnotherapist, specialized in pain and stress management and forensics, and also intuitive energy healer.
Angelo Campbell, for Case Threads, sole proprietorship, graphic design.
Anthony Lewis, I own that's LLC, Freedom Canine Solutions. I do dog training, but primarily detection services, narcotics, explosives, electronics, so forth.
Where's the pup at right now?
Where's the what?
The pup.
Oh, they're actually both out in the truck.
All right.
I was gonna bring one in, but they just got done running a bunch of odor at the store, so. Plus, I want my pizza. One of them doesn't have any manners.
I'm Kayla Mixer. I own Pure Serenity Health Spa in St. Helens, and we're an S Corp. And I'm here just to keep learning more because I beat my head against the wall at tax time every year.
I think a lot of people relate to that.
Yeah.
So I think I got one S corp and everybody else LLC.
We had a sole proprietor as well.
I think of them as the same thing because for tax purposes, they are.
Awesome. One, for our folks on Zoom, I can't quite see who it is. If you want to introduce yourself, feel free to unmute and share. All right. I know some people also do these classes on commute. So I will now kick it over to Brenda to begin this exciting topic of taxes.
Taxes, yes. I just have kind of talking points. I don't have a, speech. And if anybody would like a copy of them for taking notes on, I have some extras here.
We want to hear about you though, Brenda.
Oh, me. So I've been an accountant forever. I specialized in small business recovery. My little company is about to go bankrupt. Help me. And that was right. When I moved out here, there wasn't a lot of call for accountants. And I was looking for something new to do anyway. So I got my tax license and started doing taxes. Now I do some of each. And I love it. I'm on my own now with my own business, not working for somebody anymore. And yes, my people did come across the Oregon Trail. My grandmother, she was a little girl, they had the wagon still on their farm. And she has pictures of her like playing on it, the wagon that they took across. So I come from good, solid people that can make the trek.
I played the game.
Well, as opposed to my husband who came from the beginning of the Oregon Trail in Missouri. And he's like, yeah, I just waited for him to put an interstate in before I came on. And yes, I have chickens. When I was having my website done, they had all these corporate pictures and people in offices, and I was like, yeah, none of that represents me. You need to have, some people on a farm, and because nobody's coming here and finding offices or corporate anything. So I work out of my home, and My dog usually sits with us while we talk, sometimes the cat, but anyway. So yeah, that's me. So I just start from the beginning, you know, everybody thinks that, oh, I've got all my stuff by month. And they bring their stuff to me and it's all by month. And I can tell you right now, no tax preparer wants your stuff by month. Everybody wants it by the year, by the category. So all your income for the year, all your telephone expense for the year, all your by the month may work for you and your purposes, but for us, bring it in totals for the whole year. If you're looking to have your bookkeeping done by the tax preparer, I don't know how many of you use tax preparers, but they charge a lot. I charge $100 an hour if you want me to add up your expenses for you. And I'm pretty cheap. I think other people charge, well, I know other people charge even more than that. So if you're going to do your own bookkeeping and keep your costs down, it's by the year, not by the month. And if you can learn to use Excel spreadsheets, you can save yourself a lot of time. I had a lady who took a cereal box and laid it out and drew. It looked just like an Excel spreadsheet and everything was handwritten. And she calculated and I was like, you know, I can show you how to do this in an actual spreadsheet and save you hours. But it's great. But so when you bring your stuff to your tax preparer, or even if you're doing it yourself, just keep that in mind. And do it as you go. Try not to keep it all for December 25th. I'll do it after Christmas. You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate everybody. January 15th, you're gonna be pulling your hair out because you're still not done. And then you're gonna get an extension and you're gonna hate taxes. Just do it as you go. If you like every month, then every month log all your expenses into a spreadsheet or whatever cereal box, whatever you're using. And you know, keep organized throughout the year. The more you can keep organized throughout the year, better. The other thing that everybody doesn't do is keep a mileage log. Mileage adds up. Everybody says the same thing. Oh, it's not that much. Don't worry about it. And so I do quick estimates of how many trips they made to the store or to customers or here or there. And I tell them, well, since you didn't keep track, you lost out on, you know, $1,700 in deductions. And they just went, because it adds up. And last year, the mileage rate was 65 cents a mile. It adds up. So keep track. It's easy. Yeah.
Is there a cap on that?
On mileage? No, like you can only write off X amount of miles. No. I mean, you have to be able to justify them with a mileage log, but yeah, you can write off whatever you're using. And there's apps for it now too. So look in your apps. There's, you know, where you just hop in the car and you tell your phone, I'm doing work stuff or I'm doing personal stuff, and it'll keep track of it for you. And at the end of the year, you print out a report and there you go. And it can save you a lot. So keep your mileage logs. Anybody have any questions so far about?
One thing I thought that was really interesting you said this morning was that you can start your mileage the moment you leave your house. Can you speak to that?
If you have a home office, yes. So a home office is one of the biggest overlooked deductions that people have. They think, oh, I only work at, you know, the retail store, or the restaurant or whatever. But almost everybody does work at home. If you're contacting suppliers, ordering stuff, calling customers, whatever. And even if it's just a desk, a few square feet of space, it doesn't seem like it's going to add up to that much. But 3% of your total household expenses, your mortgage interest, your property taxes, your utilities, repairs, everything. And the added benefit of starting your workday in your home office, and then the mileage to your restaurant or your store or your wherever you're going, you know, your clients, that mileage, it's not commuter mileage anymore. It's business miles because you've started your workday in your home. So home office is one of the biggest overlooked ones because people think it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It is worth it because you get two benefits from it.
You can write off that percentage of your remodel of your house too.
Yes, unless you're just doing something like if you put in a pool. No.
Right.
But yeah, if you're, you know, doing, I don't know,
Staircase.
all new electrical or new staircase or putting new floors throughout the house.
Okay.
And then if you do something specific to, you know, let's say you have a whole room that's just the office and you do something, then all of that would be, you know, you get a desk or you put in a bigger window or you build a little shack out back because you want your office out there. You know, that's your tree house office. I don't know.
That sounds awesome.
I probably have mine in mind too, if it was realistic, but yeah, and it adds up. It does more than people think. It really does. And if you have like a phone in there, all of the phones, and if you have the internet that's just dedicated to the business, you know, all these things add up. So, a lot of people ask for this, how detailed their expenses should be. And the details are really for you. This is a Schedule C. This is kind of the categories that the government has come up with that they think your business has. And like there's no telephone on there. And I don't know a single business that doesn't have a telephone, but I don't think they've changed this since they wrote it, and that was probably before there were telephones. But so you can have as much detail or as little detail as you want because the details are really for you. What you think is important is what you are going to keep track of. The government, you know, they like you to put things into these categories, but if you put it all on one line, it really wouldn't matter. I mean, you could just put everything into one, pick a line and put it all there, and it might get their attention and get an audit. But at the end of the day, it really wouldn't matter because every expense counts the same. You know, an expense is an expense is an expense, except a fixed asset. So this is a good guideline though. This is what I give to people to give them an idea of what kinds of things they can be. But also like cost of goods sold isn't really on there. You know, I mean, it kind of is up at the top in part 1. Yeah, I guess it is cost of goods sold. So they did get that one. But you know, maybe your company, like I don't have cost of goods sold. I don't sell anything. I do tax returns, you know, so.
And that's considered like retail cost of goods sold?
Cost of goods sold is anything that you sell in the course of your business that you buy and then you're selling, like food if you're a restaurant, or you know, paper if you do advertising. If you print, you know, then paper is actually cost of goods sold, whereas paper for me is just supplies because I just print tax returns on it, you know. So Yeah, cost of goods sold is anything that you buy that you're selling to the customer. As opposed to like, I like to use a mechanic, like a carburetor is a cost of goods sold. They get a carburetor, they put it on your car and they charge you for it, they sold the carburetor. But the rag that they use to wipe their hands, they're not selling you that, that's a supply.
Doesn't include labor. It doesn't include labor, it's just the tangible.
Labor can be a component of cost of goods sold. It depends on how you've structured your company, but yeah, if you're a heavy labor, then yes, labor would be. And what is that?
Because income's different than revenue, right? So that's what they're tracking here.
Income and revenue, no, those are the same.
For the records.
Any other questions about expenses and categories and how many you should have? And
So I have a question about like home offices. Is there like a list of like a category of things that you can write off at a home office?
yes.
Office where they sit down at.
Yeah, exactly. Your whole house.
So business use of the home, this is the form. So mortgage interest, taxes,
So this is all business write-offs, real estate taxes, mortgage, and all that?
a percentage, yeah, the percentage that is allocated to your business use of home. So this is the total square footage of your house, 2,500 square feet. 300 square feet is being used by the business. So 12% of all of your expenses are going to be business related. And so these items are indirect, which means that, you know, they're just mortgage interest. They apply to the whole house. These I put as direct because this is for, you know, a telephone that I have or whatever. And maybe I remodeled in there and put, you know, new carpets and stuff at $1,300.
Brenda,
Mhm.
what form do you have?
That's what-
This is Form 8829, expenses for business use of home. Yeah, sorry, only she gets to look at it. So the first column is direct expenses, things that are just for your home office. And the second column is indirect expenses, which are things that apply to the entire house and a percentage will be allocated. And daycares use this. They get to allocate almost their entire house. Because the little tykes run all over the entire house.
Do you have extra time?
No.
So.
We can ask them this.
Do we have a printer?
Yeah, we could scan it afterwards, ask them.
Yeah, but you can just go to Google and type 8829.
Yeah, no, it's like, I just wanted to look at your examples.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could send this to you, but. So this particular one comes down to having a total of $4,000 of deductible expense. That's a lot. I mean, it adds up.
Yeah.
People think, oh, it's not that much. It is. It is that much.
We got kind of a one-off question, but would, so obviously mine revolves around dogs, but with boarding my dogs, because they're assets, could that go under a child or a daycare? Or that kind of category as far as write-offs, since technically that's what's happening?
You are not boarding your own dogs. But
No, I mean, like if I actually board them somewhere,
yes,
that would be
then
considered daycare?
the expense of boarding them would be deductible. Yes. Yes. So sometimes dogs, I have a client whose dog is her support animal and she paid a ton of money to have it trained and this and that, and she writes everything off as a medical expense, and I let her because she is nuts and she would be even nuttier without her little dog. And I love her, and you know, without this dog, I don't think she'd get through the day. You know, so not everybody can have a support animal that would qualify, but I would make a solid argument in front of an auditor. And he would accept that dog too if you spent an hour with her. So and that's the question I ask myself is, can I sit in front of an auditor and make a case for this? Yeah, people ask me, oh, is it deductible or not? Well, can you, you know, sell it to me? Tell me why it is. Do that to an auditor, you know, and if you can justify it, that it is, you know, for a business in pursuit of income, like your dogs are in pursuit of income. But maybe the dog is just on your website, or you take pictures of, or maybe it comes to the office, but everybody knows the dog and it's become a part of, you know, your business of calming your patient, your clients go. I don't know, but
You put him on payroll as a breeder?
know about putting a dog on payroll.
We'll talk later.
But you certainly could make an argument that they're expenses, you know, and especially if you're using them in your advertising and that kind of stuff, then they're definitely, you know, my website has my dog and my cat on. And my 40 chickens.
So they're a write-off, so all their food, their toys.
Did they give consent?
Yes, they did.
Implied consent.
You also mentioned this morning that if folks don't want to calculate their office, there's another formula.
Oh, yeah, there's the safe harbor method. It's, I don't know where that term comes from. I actually need to look that up. That's the term that the IRS uses for, I don't want to keep track of all my expenses. I just want a quick thing. It's a safe harbor. So if you don't want to keep track of all your expenses of your home, you can just say, I have 100 square feet and you get $5 a square foot. And that's business use of home. So for 100 square feet, it would be $500. And you just get a $500 write off, and you don't have to put down all your mortgage interest and all your, you just check the box and say, I'm going to use safe harbor, and you can get up to $1,500, depending on how many square feet you use. So that's another option for business use of home. But I encourage everybody to use it, you know, and get the mileage right up. I feel like there, especially people that are doing their own taxes, that they're missing out on these deductions that add up, you know, and I don't want people to.
I have a question about, like, so there's a standard deduction, which seems fair. It's like 12,000 or something like that, 15,000 something. If you're a service, though, you don't have products that you're selling. A lot of times you don't have a ton of deductions, right? So, like, does it make sense to take your own deductions, or just take that standard deduction if you're only like?
You're talking about two different things.
Do they not have a standard deduction for business?
No.
Oh, they
There's
don't.
no standard deduction for business. It's actual income and expenses. Standard deduction comes on your
Just
personal.
personal?
So if $15,000 from your business rolls into, you know, your taxable income, your standard deduction will make it 0, and you won't have income tax due on that $15,000. But you still have Social Security and Medicare SE tax on that $15,000. Because it's earned income. You understand? You're looking like you're not.
I mean, somewhat. Not
Okay.
100%.
So self-employment tax is the Social Security and Medicare that you pay in. Like if you have a job, you pay half and your employer pays the other half. If you have your own business, your profits, you pay all the Social Security and Medicare yourself. So that it's a little over 15%. That is paid regardless of what your personal income taxes are. So you pay the SE tax first. Then that income goes to your tax return. You take your standard deduction or your itemized deductions and you calculate your personal income tax.
Right. Right, so you're just transferring your income from your business to your personal at that point.
Right, but you've already paid self-employment tax on it too. So it's not gonna go to zero if you apply your standard deduction to income from the business, because you still have the self-employment tax.
You pay tax twice on that dollar? The dollar that comes in?
Well, you're paying two different kinds of tax.
Two different.
It's like when you get your pay stub and you have federal withholding and Social Security and Medicare. Those are all taxes that are being applied to your income. Now you're the business owner and you're paying all of those out instead of them being deducted from your paycheck.
Got it.
So basically you're paying the employer and the employee tax.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes. Does everybody understand that? You're not being double taxed. You're just paying two different kinds of tax. And for people that, you know, go their whole lives always having lots of write-offs and buying equipment and never having to pay any taxes, you got to remember you didn't pay into Social Security and Medicare. And when it comes time to collect, there's nothing to collect. So I find a lot of business owners don't realize that. They think that Social Security just comes from wherever it comes from. But if you don't pay in, you don't get anything out.
Isn't there a way to check on that? Like,
There is ssa.gov.
It's about 4 days to get, 4 or 5, like a week, 5 working days to get back. Cause I just did it a couple weeks ago. And part of it was instant, but then they, I don't know, a red flag, but they had to look at some other stuff and make sure it's accurate. And then they send me an email and you log back in and it tells you, gives you a whole graph of from right now, if you make no more money for the rest of your life, this is what you're gonna get, based on whether you're 62 or 72 and so forth.
Yep, it's a great asset to, you know, you should be looking at that. If you're over 50, you should know where you're going to be when you retire.
They used to mail you those. I used to get those.
Yes.
Quarterly.
So they kept all that information secret forever, and then something got passed, probably a Freedom of Information Act, and they started mailing them out to everybody, and then that got expensive. And so they stopped doing that, and now the ssa.gov is the latest. And to do almost anything now, you have to do the ID Me. But once you've got the ID Me, then you can get into the ssa.gov and the irs.gov as well. So you can go in and look at your tax account and find out. I had a client, we started doing his taxes. He found out he didn't file his taxes for 2017. He owed $165,000. So we had to file 17 and 18 because they will file it for you if you don't file it. And it was a mess. And we just got it all unraveled, and he just got a check for $12,000, and he's so happy. But it took, I mean, that started a year ago. It took me a whole year to get everything unraveled and straightened out. So these are good things to be going on and looking at and making sure, you know, they have your records correct. So it takes a long time to fix them, especially with all the staffing issues and, you know, government shutdowns and everything going on. If you need something done, well, the good news is the IRS they're understaffed and overburdened. So none of you guys are going to be audited. Because you don't make enough, unless we got some millionaires in here that I don't recognize. And I apologize if you're in that category, but yeah, if you're between 30,000 and 500,000 income, you're just not, you're not in the, no, you have to be below 30 or over 500 to get audited these days, but that can change, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now, my clients, they ask me, can I deduct this? I'm like, well.
Right.
Tell me why it's a business expense. That's what I always tell. Tell me how that's in pursuit of income. And if they can tell me how it's in pursuit of income, then I say, yeah, deduct.
Kind of like writing off all your vacations. Because you're meeting with clients out of state. Yeah.
Yes. Or, you know, researching pilot offices and options to open up another mechanic shop. Or how do they do plumbing in Amsterdam? Is there something I can learn from them? Or let me go to a plumber shop and talk to a guy.
Genius.
Yeah. Document what you learned.
We have your numbers on here, right?
I call it risk tolerance. You know, like, can you write it up? I don't know. Where's your risk tolerance?
Right.
Yeah, I never encourage anybody to do anything illegal, but the tax code is not black and white.
Yeah.
It is all written in the grays, and some tax preparers are very much in the no. I want it in black and white. If I can't read exactly words saying that this is allowed, then they won't allow it. I operate very much in the gray because I don't know, because we can, because we should, you know, all the major corporations are, why should we be the ones that are, you know, going overboard to follow everything?
Yeah, we pay a lot of taxes as it is.
We pay a lot of taxes. Yes, people in our income group, we pay a lot of taxes. Yeah.
So it is nice to know those benefits that you take advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah. So nothing illegal, but I'm in the gray.
Love that.
I have high risk tolerance. Yes.
So I have a question. If I have an online business and I have clients also from different states, how does it affect that? So I have a tax on which takes the tax off, but then I need to pay the state.
Like their sales tax or
It's well, I have a service, but if there's a tax, I mean, do I need to charge them if I'm here in Oregon, even though they're home? Like, how does it really work?
what's your business?
It's a hypnosis and energy healing.
And do you travel to them?
No, I do it online.
Oh, you do it online. So it's all about where you are.
Okay.
So if you're in Oregon, and yes, there is sales tax on service. If you go to a mechanic up in Washington, you're going to pay sales tax on whatever you get fixed on your car. That's a service, but you're still gonna pay sales tax. But you're not in Washington.
Right.
So you wouldn't have to, they're supposed to pay tax, but something like that, I don't even know how.
It, I have experience because my business, I would ship outside.
Yeah.
And so even though it's Oregon, Washington, Texas, whoever has sales tax, it's if it's a product going outside of state lines. But when it comes to services, they're not paying a tax for your service.
So you have to collect and pay Washington sales tax if you ship to Washington?
Yeah.
Even after the Wayfair lawsuit?
Well, I don't ship anymore. This was back in the day when I was shipping a lot.
Like
But
pre-Wayfair, like 10, 15 years
Yep.
ago?
I started
Yeah.
my business almost.
So there was a big lawsuit over that. And if you have Nexus in a state, then you have to charge sales tax. But if you don't have Nexus in that state, and Nexus just means presence.
Right, yeah.
If you don't have any, then you don't have to collect their sales tax and pay it to the state. And yes, you're right. There was a time I worked for a telephone company straight out of college. And every time, remember the 10-10-521, you know, you punch in the code and then you get long distance at 8 cents a minute or whatever. If somebody in Tennessee got their phone and punched in our code and used our long distance in Washington, in Tennessee, then I had to get a Tennessee tax return and file it for the 52 cents that they used.
Yep.
And, you know, it would cost whatever my time was to file the tax return, and it was stupid. And Wayfair sued, and they won, as far as I knew, and everything changed. So I don't know all the details about it, but I know like Guitar Center has Nexus in all the states, but their sister company or whatever, Musician's Friend, they're a mail order and they have no Nexus and they collect no sales tax from anybody. So that's the
Is that for goods and services?
Yes, as far as I know, unless something has changed, and I keep pretty on top of changes, but
Well, I think that's maybe a good follow-up because I'm working with other clients that have consulting businesses where they're doing things via Zoom, not too dissimilar to what you're doing. And that would be nice to know if there's some.
you know, that would be a nightmare though.
I know, yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't make sense to me, especially if you don't have a product going out, but maybe we can follow up and figure that out.
So I use a third party company to do print on demand.
Oh, yeah.
That they handle all the taxes, you know? Like
What's that?
because they do all the sales and the customer service. They use a print on demand website that prints out products for me to sell. And I guess maybe I should ask them if they handle the tax side of that, because like, you know, on the web.
Colorado.
Well, like I order things.
Yeah.
I order these, they come from somewhere, and as soon as I put in that they're shipping from Oregon, sales tax goes to 0. So I'm not paying any sales tax on these pens that are coming from, you know, Indiana or wherever they come from. But there's also, it's sales and use tax. A lot of people don't know that. So if you come from Washington over to Oregon and you buy a color TV and you take it back to Washington, you're supposed to report that and pay use tax on it. Use is just the same thing as sales tax. And like every individual, like people like us are supposed to write it on our, I don't know, they probably have a form and report it and pay the sales tax because they bought it out of state. But they're supposed to do that, and they used to do stings on the bridge. They pull you over, and if you had a bunch of stuff from Oregon and you were a Washington resident, they would hit you for the sales tax. I don't think they have manpower. This is the 80s, but I'm dating myself now.
But I mean, then you're talking about tourists and everything that come here from other states, like.
No, because tourists wouldn't have Washington plates.
It's specifically Washington to Oregon, it's not.
Yeah, because Washington people come to Oregon to buy stuff without paying sales tax.
California too.
I think a lot of things they ship.
That's the other
You buy
border.
so much of bulk. I know, like, cause I used to travel a lot, military, and if like for the Oregon, Washington thing, when I was in North Washington, if I showed up Oregon ID, I was fine, but if I was Washington resident, came to Oregon and I bought like $2,000 worth in consumable, the same consumable, I would have to show my ID, and if it was from Washington, then they would handle it accordingly, or not sell to. Cause that's what you're trying to do, is basically not fraud, but some kind of criminal shiesty stuff.
Trying to avoid the sales tax.
So it's specifically Washington of all states that monitors that. Like if you.
No.
If you're reside in Washington and shopping.
No, I bring up Washington as my example because I can see Washington from here. You know, they're close enough that people come from Washington. But yeah, if they come from Indiana and buy stuff and they didn't pay our sales tax, they're supposed to go back and report it in their state. And because we don't have, there's only like 4 states that don't have sales tax. And Wayfair is in Montana and they got rid of their sales tax for Wayfair. That's the whole thing. So
Alaska, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, Oregon, states without sales tax.
yeah.
So if you have a business that you're selling goods to all states, you have to charge sales tax according to whatever state they're in, because you're sending it to them in that state. Like when you buy these pens that came from Indiana, you paid Indiana sales tax. Or no, I'm sorry, okay, vice versa. Someone in Indiana that buys these pens
From Washington.
from us in Oregon, we don't have a sales tax here, but they do. They are gonna pay their sales tax to order these.
They're supposed to pay their sales tax when they receive
So
them.
where does that money go that they're paying sales tax? Do we collect that and then we
No.
have to report it? The state collects it.
The state collects.
Okay.
It's an honor system though. But here's how they catch it. They come into the stores. I mean, I haven't dealt with anybody but the California, because we had a customer in California that was evading taxes. And they came into the store and then they called me up and they said, send us all their invoices for the last 6 months. And so they got everything that I had shipped them, me being the company I worked for, had shipped to them. And now they told them, okay, show us where you paid the sales tax on the sales of all this stuff. And they couldn't show it because they were a cash business that was not doing things correctly. And that's how they catch them. So, but no, it was Oregon. There's no way we could collect sales tax for all the states and submit it. So
Okay.
hence the lawsuit.
I got a couple of situational similar questions. One, if I go into, I'm based here in St. Helens, or in St. Helens. If I go to Washington and do a floor covering job, do I have to pay use tax on the equipment that I use there?
Like rental equipment?
No, let's say I have a floor sander and I'm sanding the floor, getting the floor prep ready to go for install. Do I have to pay use tax on
You only pay use tax when you buy it.
and live there kind of thing? So I'd have to live there.
But you-
Buy it here, then
So the only thing that you would, if you're in Washington doing a job, you're expected to collect the tax from the
a sales
customer
tax for sure.
and submit it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. And then what about, so what if I do a job in Portland, in Multnomah County? Do I have to pay city taxes or or anything like that?
Don't tell anybody you did it. No.
Why does anybody live in one book?
In Multnomah County,
It's terrible.
you have to file the Multnomah County tax return.
Okay.
And if you're under the 50,000 threshold, then, you send it in, you don't have to pay anything. And then also there's the Multnomah County and the city of Portland. So they're both on one form at least, but one's 50 and the other one's 100. So, yeah.
And what about OCAD? Is that in St. Helens? That's only in the Tri counties, right?
I don't know about Washington County. I know Multnomah County and City of Portland make me nuts. And when my clients say, I'm doing a job and I say, don't tell me because I don't want to know. unless they're doing enough that it, you know, we have to file it, but if they do a one-off for, you know, $5,000, I don't wanna file a whole nother tax return and they have to get a BZT number and it's for one job, no. So, but yeah, if you're doing a lot of work in Portland, then yeah, you have to file that extra tax form.
Okay.
Hopefully your preparer doesn't charge much for it. I don't. I charge like $50 or $100. It's not very much.
Okay.
And we have just a few more minutes, up for it. Yeah.
No, it's, nobody was a partnership, so we don't need to talk about that. S Corp, did you have any specific S Corp questions that you wanted to ask? You probably already know why you're an S Corp, the advantages of that. Does anybody else want to know what the advantages are of being an S Corp as opposed to staying in LLC? If you're an S Corp, you can put yourself on the payroll and get a, you know, regular paycheck, which can be very helpful if you're planning on buying a home, financing things, you know, if you just.
Is that the same thing if you're an LLC taxed as an S corp?
LLC taxed as an S Corp. What? I don't understand.
You saying like as an LLC, you can file as an S corp, at the end of the year, you can get.
Well, if you make an S election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you make the S election, then you can put yourself on payroll, have those advantages. The big one that sells everybody is, let's say you make $100,000. As an LLC, $100,000 is what you pay self-employment tax on, at the 15% that we talked about. As an S Corp, you're on the payroll. So if your payroll is $40,000, that's all you're paying self-employment tax on, is the $40,000. And then the other $60,000 you take as a distribution, and you pay regular income tax, but not self-employment tax. So if you're making a lot of money, then it can be really advantageous. If you're not making that much money yet, if you're just getting started, it doesn't make any sense to make an S election yet. But that's the big one, is people want to be on the payroll and they want to save money on that SE taxes. Plus you can control your SE tax, you know, because to just go, I don't know what it's going to be at the end of the year is stressful for some people. They want to know, you know, what am I going to owe at the end of the year? So,
something you also talked about this morning is some people take the strategy of trying to write off everything and make it like you either have a loss or made no money. But can you talk about the impact that might have for
I think we kind of did.
for like lending and goals and what you do that?
We talked about that at the beginning. You know, what are your goals for your tax return? Are you trying to show income because you need to buy a house or finance or expand or whatever, get a loan from these guys? You need to show income for that kind of stuff. If you're not, if you just don't want to pay taxes, then maybe you're going to, you know, Section 179 and depreciate everything heavily and not pay any taxes. But you got to keep in mind, if you're not paying into SE, you're not paying into Social Security, and you're not going to get it when it's time to retire. So that's an important one, and I think a lot of people miss that one. So when I meet a new client, that's one of the first questions that I ask them. What is your goal for this tax return? What are you trying to do? Because there are different ways to file a tax return, and they're all legal. I'm not talking about in the gray stuff. I'm talking about the black and white stuff. You know, how much you depreciate, how much you save for later years. You know, depreciation, you're just banking expense that you can use in future years. And maybe that's more important to you. Maybe you know that you have a huge job coming up next year and you will save all the expense you can for next year because you're gonna need those write-offs.
So when you're looking to like buy a house or going to be getting a large loan, do they not look at your gross income versus your net?
So, yeah, we're gonna have to put the room back together.
No, they're looking at your net.
Really?
Yeah, they're not gonna look at your gross, because who cares if you made $100,000, it could cost you $120,000 to make it. You know, you gotta show that you're making money. Now, they do add, depreciation is one of the items that they add back in. And so is mileage. Mileage, to some extent, because mileage is not a set expense, it's a, you know, standard mileage, 65 cents a mile. If you drive a little car that gets 45 miles to the gallon, you're not burning up 65 cents a mile.
I'm gonna have to stop.
Oh.
The class, I think we had a bit of a scheduling error with upfront where they overbooked the time. Usually we do a half-hour buffer, but I don't think that went through. So we'll need to wrap up the class because there's 22 students out there that needed final exam. Let's positive energy in this room.
So,
I know.
To them, it's a little more than a math class.
so I gave
It's the
everybody
end of their program.
a business card. If you have specific questions, just text them to me. I answer, I really do. Like, I will just sit there and answer your questions for free.
I
You didn't get a bill.
Yeah, I'll definitely be in touch.
Brenda will be out there to answer questions, but if we could file out, that would be great. Thank you, everyone.
Nice, thank you.